which is the perfect segue for my next speaker, who I am so cracking up. This woman, I met her through I can't even remember if it was polka dot or something. And then I started following you on TikTok and I was like, marshmallows. And then I saw this giraffe and I was like, what the hell is she doing? And we are in for such a treat because she is a badass speaker. She is a certified complaint-free trainer. She's a TEDx speaker, and she has started the Kindness Bucket Brigade to end online bullying. I could go on, but I'm going to let her talk. Wendy Babcock. Woo,
thank you so much, Elaine. I'm excited that you invited me to be here. You know, what's funny is I never consider myself to be the funny person at all. I'm just kind of a goofball by nature. And I like to tell people, like, I grew up in a atmosphere between childhood and my first marriage of abuse. So I learned to be silent. I learned to keep myself small because that's what got me out of trouble and being noticed because then bad things happen. So I learned to just be small and silent most of my life. And then as I got older and I left that, the childhood behind, I left my first marriage. I'm like, I like to be funny. I remember almost every joke you tell me. My mom owned a tavern for 18 years. So I grew up with some awful, dark, raunchy humor, And so that's my personality. And of course, if you've grown through abuse, you develop this dark humor anyways. You make light of the horrible things you've been through. You find the funny in everything, even though it's not even remotely funny. But I feel like that's what's kind of like formed this crazy personality of mine. Because I'm not I wish I could be like very bold, like Lighten. I absolutely love her. I'm just not that bold person, even though I've got the glitter, the pink hair, but personality wise, I'm much more of an introvert. And so people are shocked when they hear that. They're like, but you speak on stages, you did a TEDx. I'm like, yeah, but it's being an introvert isn't about being shy. It's about your energy. And I've always guarded my energy so much growing through abuse and the things I've been through that, I think that's what formed this introverted sense of myself. So
I love that, Wendy. And I just want to pause there for a minute because I think that's important because I have this sort of, personality, but I also have a shy side. And so, and a lot of comedians and speakers are shy and introverted too. Like sometimes I feel way more comfortable on a stage than at a cocktail party, which is why I used to party and give myself liquid courage. But so I love that. And that's one reason I'm so delighted because not everybody can be, Elaine Torso is Elaine Torso, right? And Jack Perez, and we all can have our own flavor. And so I just love that. Thank you for being so vulnerable with us. And I love that you are like kind of a goofball and you're just sort of being your goofy self. You're not necessarily, hey, I'm going to try to make a lot of people laugh. You're just like sharing, this is kind of who I am. Did I get that right?
You did. Yeah. And I stifled that part of me for so long.
Right.
Because there was times when I'd be in situations and I had this like funny thing I wanted to say or like something really sarcastic. And I'm like, oh, I can't say it, like keep it in.
Yeah.
And then it slowly crept out, because I did marry somebody who lets me be 100% myself. And he is sneaky funny. He's one of those guys who's a really quiet guy, but he's sneaky funny. And oh my God, it cracks my family. My sister's like, he's so quiet, but when he speaks, sometimes the stuff that comes out of his mouth, everyone's like, we did not expect that.
And it just like destroys the room. And I love that. I love
exactly. That. Yeah. And it just learning to kind of like let that come out slowly. And as an entrepreneur, that's another area where I tried stifling myself. So I'm like, people aren't going to like me if I let my whole personality out. If I tell these jokes, or if I do these crazy things that I want to do, people aren't going to like me. I'm going to lose followers. But then, the pandemic, blessing and a curse at the same time.
Right.
I was just like, we're all stuck in our houses. And I'm like, I'd watched TikToks forever. My daughter's got me hooked on it.
Right.
And that's where the marshmallow video started. Because on Facebook, everyone knows like I'm a marshmallow addict. Like that's my favorite snack ever. I love them. I'm a snob. It's got to be Kraft.
You're a marshmallow snob.
I am.
Serious.
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm gonna make some fun videos. I'm just gonna, I was terrified to share them on Facebook. I'm like, I'm just gonna keep my little TikTok page to myself and just kind of like do funny things.
And so
And
you
then
were
one
doing
day,
were you like roasting marshmallows? Like what were you?
well, okay, so the first one was there was a kind of a viral video going around or an idea where like women would be like, oh my gosh, this guy came to my door, told me, he'd give me a bottle of wine if I showed him my boobs. And then she pulls out this bottle of wine to show where like they went. So I did that, but with marshmallows. So I'm like, oh my God, guys, this guy came to my house, said if I showed him my boobs, he'd give me a bag of marshmallows. I'm like, the audacity. And I just started like eating a marshmallow, like he went to the neighbor's house, or, just things like that. I was just taking like the viral ideas and making it my own, but with marshmallows as the theme.
And
So
what happened?
So, I mean, I had some viewers, none of them went viral or anything, but eventually one day I'm like, I'm gonna share one on Facebook, and I was like terrified. I'm like, people are gonna think I'm weird, and they loved it. And here's what I found. If Facebook likes it, TikTok hates it. If TikTok loves it, Facebook hates it. I've never had a video go viral on TikTok and then people love it on Facebook. For me, it's always one or the other.
Yep. I find, sometimes it's interesting the different platforms, but I just love that you gave yourself permission to be sort of wild and wacky. And it sounds like it was a great, release for you during a really crazy time, right?
It really was. And then I just got more comfortable sharing more of me and who I am and my sense of humor. And so like it kind of like veered all over the place. I'm too ADHD. Everyone's like, oh, stick to one niche. You got to stick to one thing. I'm like, that's not me. I'm all over the place in my life. My sense of humor and what I love and what I do. I'm like, I'm just going to post what I want to post. I don't care about the numbers. I'm not trying to go viral. And for me, what I found is the videos I put more time into because I think they're funny, they get like 200 views. The ones that I just kind of randomly, like one day I was videoing we have a pool that's enclosed. And I'm just videoing, I'm making some dumb commentary about it. 5.9 million people watched that stupid video. And I'm like, why? Why? And then my commentary, because I didn't plan it, it was just very off the cuff. And I just sounded ridiculous. Like, and so people were coming at me because I was saying, oh, literally, you literally don't know how to use the word literally. And so they kind of came at me for my commentary. It was just, it was the weirdest viral video ever. I'm like, why?
But I love that. I mean, what sometimes people say mean things and you're like, okay, whatever, you shake it off. So
Yep.
Wendy, tell us about the whole no complaint thing, because I saw that guy speak with Louise Hay and it was
Yeah.
amazing. So tell us about this, because this is a great throw your hat over the wall, see what the hell's going to happen story.
Yeah. So I worked at a hospital for almost 20 years, 10 years in the clinic, 10 years in the hospital, had no ambitions to be a speaker, entrepreneur. I did like an MLM at the time. And I was listening to an Audible book at work that talked about a complaint-free world. And they mentioned this Will Bowen guy who wrote the book. And I was at a place in my life where I was trying to really get rid of the negativity surrounding me because of my ex and all that happened. And I thought, well, what's more negative that we do than complain? This is kind of perfect. I'm going to look into this. And I'm telling you, if it's fate, whatever. I went to Facebook. I looked up Will Bowen and his post was, hey, I'm looking for 10 people who I can train to speak about, creating this complaint-free world. We can make an impact. And I'm like, I want to do this. And I didn't know why. So I just like, I'm not going to get picked. There's probably gonna be thousands of applications. He's not going to pick me anyways. So I sent off the email and sure enough, I got picked. And I had like a massive anxiety attack. Like, what the hell am I doing? Like, I'm not a speaker. Yeah.
What am
And
I
like,
doing?
yeah. And so I went through his training and everyone else had some speaking, under their belt already. So I felt like kind of the low man on the totem pole. So like, I dug in. I'm like, I'm going to do everything this man tells me to do. I'm going to learn everything about the complaint-free movement. And now I'm the only active complaint-free trainer. in the world besides Will Bowen himself now. And it's been such a bizarre turn of events in my life because, again, I ended up quitting my job, my full-time job, and hitting the road running with speaking. And I've been doing it now since early 2017, which then landed me a TEDx through the Kindness Bucket Brigade movement I started. And I never could have foreseen all of this, never, and Will has been just such a great mentor and really supporting me and like teaching me everything I needed to know so that I can now, besides speaking, I'm teaching other women how to get on stages and get paid to do it. Because it's like when Bobby talked about how it's a male driven world in the speaking, I get so literally pissed off when I see conferences charging thousands of dollars for tickets and not paying their speakers.
Yes.
It's one thing if you're giving an offer from the stage and you can make your money, that's fantastic. But if I'm going there to teach your audience and provide your content, you're going to give me a paycheck. And so that's where so I want to teach more women how to do that, where to look, how to contact people and how to get paid.
I love it, Wendy.
Yeah.
I love it. And so I know we're going to put your info, we're going to drop that in a minute. So, yeah, it's just such a great story that you were like, well, I'm not going to get picked. And now you're like the one remaining person. And yeah, I saw him speak and I was very inspired. And now tell us about the giraffe, because, I just want to emphasize Wendy is, like an introvert, like she was doing, you were taking down reports at the hospital. You were not like being a trainer, know. And so you fall into the speaking thing. That's going okay. And then tell us about.
So, in watching TikToks and stuff, I'm like, oh my God, there's so much I think it'd be so much fun. And like, okay, there's one thing to be on a stage in front of people because you know what you're going to say. You know what you're going to do. It's not like a one-on-one conversation. That's where I really struggle sometimes. And being behind a camera, not a problem. I can be as outrageous as I need to be. So enter Gertie Glitterbottom. And so I was on Amazon. Gertie Glitterbottom. That's what we named her. So I have a 9-foot inflatable giraffe costume that I'm like, I found it on Amazon. I'm like, I'm going to buy this stupid thing. And I'm going to like do things like go get the mail and walk my dog in it just for the hell of it. Cause I'm like, who knows? So then I recorded it, put it on TikTok and everyone just thought it was hilarious. I'm like, and it's fun because when you walk down the road in a 9-foot inflatable giraffe costume, everybody loves to see it. People are smiling. They're happy. They're just like, you're making someone's day and they can't see it's me unless you know it's me because you follow me on social media, So I'd love to make people laugh or just put a smile on their face. Not like LOL, like cracking up laughing, but just be the joy in someone's day with something silly like an inflatable giraffe. So that's how Gertie was born.
Love that. And I had just met Wendy through like this networking thing. And so then I'm like, oh, she's doing some marshmallow thing. And then all of a sudden I kept seeing this giraffe and I didn't connect the two. Like, sometimes you're scrolling and you don't know who's, and I was like, finally, after like lots of time, I thought that's Wendy in the giraffe costume. And I just love that. And so when your husband didn't know you were doing any of this, tell us about that.
When I bought the costume, I didn't tell him I bought it. And so he got home. So he has his own catering company. And so he's just kind of chilling in his recliner. And I'm in the bath or in our bedroom trying to get this thing on kind of quietly. And I'm kind of giggling to myself, like, I don't know what his reaction is going to be when I come out in this 9-foot costume. Cause I have to kind of pull her head down to get her like through the doorway. And so I come through and he just busted a gut. He's like, what the hell are you doing? And, he thought it was a riot. He thought it was the funniest thing ever. And he's like, whatever. Like, I'm like, I don't know. I found it on Amazon. I'm an Amazonaholic. I bought it and just embraced it.
Amazon made me buy it.
Amazon made me do it.
I love it, Wendy. And so if people want to know, if they want to come follow you. So yeah, so we have your stuff in there. TikTok for Gertie Glitterbottom. And then there's also your Facebook stuff and stuff about your speaking. And so is speaking coming back? Are you being asked to go speak in person?
I am. And, it's funny because I was doing strictly speaking, and then, like life, I have like, I call them rabid brain squirrels where I have all these crazy ideas. So I kind of like veered and did a lot of different things. But then I'm like, you know what? Speaking is my passion. I need to get back to that. You know how when you're chasing something else that's not really meant to be, you feel like
Mm,
you're always like forcing it. And that's where I felt I was doing. But yet what was chasing me was women coming up to me and saying, hey, can you teach me how you get speaking engagements? Can you teach me this about speaking? And I'm like, duh, Wendy, quit chasing these things that you're forcing to happen and turn around and like help the people who are asking for your help. And so that's when I opened up my, the speaker program to help get other women on stages. So yeah, speaking is definitely my passion. I'm back to it, and just booked a keynote today before this. So
congratulations.
yeah, thanks.
Yes, I love it. And I want to see more women on stages, and I feel compelled to get back on stage too, because
Good.
I for so long I would go and I would speak on college campuses and I would feel so expanded. The kids would be
Yeah.
like crying and laughing, and it was just so amazing. And then I'd come back to New York and kind of get beaten down, by the city and the grind, and but yeah, loving, I just love when you can bring somebody joy. It's
That's what it's all about, and I've learned to embrace myself and who I am, even on stage. I really don't ever memorize it besides the TEDx that you have to kind of memorize, but like my presentation, like I know the material. So I'm good with when I'm in front of an audience, if a story like just kind of comes to mind, of just going with it. Cause I've just kind of learned that being in the moment and letting those things happen kind of authentically, it makes such a difference. Cause I've seen some speakers where, and sadly it's mostly men, they just seem so, what's the word I'm looking for?
rehearsed,
So what's that?
rehearsed.
Yeah, kind of rehearsed, where you can tell it's like they're just following this script and they won't ever veer off of it, but so I've really tried hard not to be that person, you
Yes.
know.
Yeah, I talked about that earlier, about seeing this famous person who has a good heart, but it was so canned, and
Right.
and I remember thinking, I never want to be like that. I would
Yeah.
rather be like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
robotic. Somebody wrote
Yeah.
robotic.
That's a
Yeah.
good word for it. Yeah. And you can tell that. And
You're
I
on a
just want,
stage now. You're right. Yeah.
yeah.
Yes, I love it. And so, Wendy, tell us. So, putting on a big giraffe suit, did you feel vulnerable the first few times you went out? Like, what are
Oh
we
yeah.
gonna do? Or, how
I,
did you just breathe into that?
it's hard, like to get out of your comfort zone, and I live in a rural area. So my neighbors are like, a couple acres apart at least. So I was just like, okay, these neighbors, and I don't know them very well. We've only been here since the beginning of the pandemic. Like, they're gonna think I'm freaking nuts. But I'm like, who cares? I don't really know them. But then yesterday, I made a TikTok because I bought a second inflatable costume, and
Uh-oh.
and I was hiding in my garage because the mailman was there, and I was gonna make a TikTok outside. So I'm like, now I'm hiding in here in this blow up thing. I want to walk out when the mailman pulled in. So there's still like that apprehension of where I should have just embraced it and gone out and saw what his reaction was. I think he would have got a good laugh out of it.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, you're human. So we
Yeah.
all have these invisible things.
Yeah.
I mean, I teach video, and I love video, and I love being goofy, and I still have days sometimes where I'm like, so I just thank you for being so vulnerable. So what is a super tip if somebody's here and they're like, I want to get out of my comfort zone, do you say go buy your favorite Amazon blow up thing, or what else can you do? What can you do that what would you recommend, Wendy?
I would say go with what makes you laugh. So generally when I make content, it's stuff that makes me laugh. And I don't really care if somebody, I mean, I want to make people smile and laugh, but like if I find it funny, that's enough for me. And so if other people makes them smile and laugh, just go with what makes you happy. I think it radiates out when you do that. So that would be my tip. Whatever makes you smile and laugh, share it. if something happens in your life, I shared a silly story about we were at Walgreens last night or yesterday. My husband and I are both looking at chocolate and we couldn't decide what we wanted. And so finally I kept looking at back at this bag of Rolos and I reached out and grabbed it. My husband's like, shut up. Like, what? He's like, I was just going to grab those. And it was a silly thing, but like, I'm like, I just shared it on social and people thought it was hilarious. Just share your life, share the things that make you kind of like, oh, that was really kind of funny. Like that's who we are as a couple. Like we're just ridiculous. And we do that kind of thing all the time. Like just share it.
I love this. I love it so much, Wendy. And, I have to tell you as a comedian, right? You never know, sometimes you're in a basement with 5 people, sometimes you're in a casino and they really want to be out gambling, like you just never know what you're going to get.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned early on was, and I remember crying like, and my boyfriend at the time said, Elaine, you can only be as funny as they'll let you. So every once in a while you have an audience, it's just like, or whatever. And so when you can learn to make yourself laugh, because sometimes you can just tell, like, for whatever reason, the audience is just hardly there or they're super drunk or whatever. And so I learned, like, all right, this one's going to be for me, and not that I would laugh out loud, but, I really, it's a subtle thing, but it makes it where you are kind of taking the control back and you're not like needing them, because when you need the audience, they can feel it, they can smell it, they can sense it. And that's not always a great place to be in. So
yeah, you're absolutely right. And even with TikTok, when I had that viral video, I had just like Jack, I had a lot of, not Jack, who's the one that talked about the one right before me. Oh, Nika. Anyways, I turned them into parodies. I took some of the stupid comments they said and I made parody videos. So it's just kind of like, you know what? This is what I think of your comment. It's just silly to me. I'm going to make fun of it. I'm not going to really throw hate back, but I'm going to make fun of it. I'm just going to kind of let it go out there and be like, I don't know. When I put on there.
I love that. I love it when people read their Amazon reviews. And I highly recommend that everybody do that, especially if you're putting yourself out there, which I hope everybody's going to do even more of, because like sometimes I'll read like the best book and somebody will have like, this is the worst piece of shit. And you're like, wow. Like, but I think it shows you nobody has taste. No, like, everybody has different tastes. It's all subjective. And what somebody or many people might hold up and revere, some other people might not. And at the end of the day, who cares, right?
Right.
So
that's just it.
We have a question, Wendy. How do you film yourself when you're in the costume? Do you set up a tripod that follows you, that follows like movement?
So it's been a few different things. I've set up my own phone, on a tripod and filmed it like coming up the driveway. We have security cameras at our house too. So I've used footage from my security cameras. Otherwise my husband has followed me with my camera. I'm like, you gotta film this. And he's like, oh my God. He grabs his phone. He's like, okay. Like, here we go. When is,
a reluctant cameraman. Okay.
Or if I'm in town, somebody, I just hope somebody catches it. If they don't, I'm just making smiles anyways. But if someone catches it, they'll be like, oh my God, I saw you in town. Here's, a video. I quick grabbed my phone and I videoed you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So sometimes I don't even do it like for TikTok. I'll just do it because I know that if there's a little kid in the car, we had a local craft fair. And I'm like, I'm going to be in Gertie the whole day. I'm just going to show up at the craft fair and I'm going to walk around. And all the little kids like loved it. I had a little girl that like stuck with me the entire day. And I'm like, I didn't do it. I didn't record. My daughter recorded me, but I'm like, I didn't do it to record myself. I did it because it was just, it was going to make somebody laugh.
I love that, Wendy. Oh my gosh. So if people want to know more, I know we put the links in the chat and you're getting comments. Oh my God, this is hysterical. Wow, Wendy, you are fun. Yes, thank you so much for who you are. And yeah, simple and profound, radiate it out. I love the conversation. I have a fuzzy tiger costume. This is just beautiful. Wendy. Oh, good. And we have a free gift. Tell us about your free gift.
So my free gift is for anyone who's wanting to become or, take their business to the next level with speaking on stages. So I give away my 5 top places where I find speaking leads, and Innovation Women is actually on there. because I
Woo!
love their website. So kind of a shout out for Bobby. I was so happy she was here today because I'm like, she's one I hand out all the time. So
Yes,
it's just the 5 places where I find paid speaking engagements.
that is great.
Yeah.
And wow. Well, thank you so much for saying yes. Thank you for being vulnerable and sharing your wacky marshmallows self and the pool thing. And yes, just everybody, please help me thank Wendy Babcock. Woo, woo.
Thank
So
you so
much
much.
fun, Wendy. Yeah, thank
you.
you so much for your time and your energy and for saying yes. And I hope that you'll keep hanging out. And one more round for Wendy. Woo! That was fun. She is so fun. And, she's just a great example of, she's not as extroverted, but she's doing it her own way, So I just love that. Yeah, we should all dress up crazy for our mailman. You never know what can happen.